Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to one of my favorite parts of the podcast, which is something I call Bombshell Conversations. And for this one, I am so delighted to launch in with Trina Schmidt, who is an incredible woman, an incredible coach, an incredible businesswoman. So, to do her honor, let me read this bio because she's got so many degrees and certifications that I'm going to lose track if I don't. Trina Schmidt is a dual licensed therapist, relationship coach, and energy healer with decades of experience in guiding women to step into their power with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Trina's been where so many of us have been. She knows what it's like to feel stuck, lost, unable to say no, and struggling to claim your space in the world. How many of us completely understand that? And yet, through her own transformation, she now leads a life of empowerment, freedom, and deep, authentic love. As a therapist, she saw time and time again how quickly her clients' lives and relationships changed when they learned how to create boldness, boundaries, and conscious relationships. And today she's bringing that same energy to all of us. Trina, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for this conversation. So tell us a little bit about what led into this work, right? It sounds like it's a personal life journey that kind of created a passion, but what's the backstory about why you love this?
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning because I obviously have, a lot of pathways of coming to this, but what really stood out to me is I've always grown up with this awe in what's the purpose of life? Why
Mm,
can't we just all get along? Like there has to be more than this. And I remember pursuing that for a long time when I was little, kind of growing up in a some dysfunction family, but lots of love, but still kind of feeling out of place. I just didn't feel like I fully belonged. That there had to be more. So in my 20s, I really started seeking more of self-help and understanding myself better. And I really came to realize that I didn't love myself very much. Like we were not taught how to talk kind to ourselves. I discovered this false part of ourselves, ego, that is feeding us with wrong information all the time, which was like an aha moment. Like, what? That's not who I am. What are you talking about? So that really let me into figuring out like what makes us fulfilled. And
mm,
because we were raised to perform for others, achieve for others, I was what we call good girl, following the rules, high achieving, wanted to do things right. And I always looked to others. I always looked out to, am I doing it right? Am I doing it good? Am I reaching
mm,
for acknowledge? And when I didn't get the acknowledgement, I turned it within. So I was hyper self-critical, put myself down a lot. And it took me a long time to realize how hard on myself I was, and I was not able to really see myself shining. It was not until, being in the very dysfunctional marriage,
mm,
kind of lost myself, completely got stuck, really thought this was what life was. I knew I had been told that this is what life is. You struggle, it's hard work. There's limitations. I can't just make the life that I want. I have to just live and settle with what is. Realize that that was not true.
mm.
So with meditation, um, therapy, coaching, books. But really, what helped me was the energy healing and the embodiment
Interesting.
that really, really pivoted things for me. And when I started using that with my clients, became a therapist, coach, have all that stuff that you're talking about, that it really started changing stuff for me.
Wow. So cool. To me, it's the best journey when, I mean, all journeys are beautiful, but it's the coolest journey when it's a personal one, right? Where you learn the transformation yourself and then you give the gift that you kind of learned or received, I should say, to others. It's gorgeous. What are some of the things that you've watched women experience when they go through these same shifts that you've discovered? So some of
Mm.
the breakthrough moments that you've watched.
For them to know, recognize, and trust the voice of their true
Mm,
self, the you inside you. For them to reclaim the power, recognizing who they are,
yeah.
that they were never wrong,
Mm,
that all the decisions that they made in life led them to who they are, that it it was wanted contrast, a gift for you to expand, and that they have the full choice in what to do right now for themselves, not for others.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need a relationship. I want a relationship.
Mm.
I don't need money. I want money,
Yeah.
right? I don't need respect. I want respect. Like, what do I want? And what do I get to choose? And it's based in our calling for these nudges and these ideas that pop into our head. That's what we follow. And I choose to follow this because I'm called to it, not because I need to, because I'm insufficient or I'm in lack in somehow, but it's really just where does that inner guidance guiding you?
Beautiful. So it's almost like it sounds like independence, but with openness. Like I am not self-sufficient per se, but I am complete. I'm already whole. And so now I'm opening to these bigger things, but there's not this desperate, needy, clingy energy of, oh my gosh, without a relationship or without someone's affirmation or without what I think is sufficient income, I'll melt down. It's this sense of wholeness. That's so,
Mm. I
so
find that,
please.
I find a lot that people coming in, and especially people that have been through therapy and I kind of read the books and they know a lot of stuff, they still have those like very ups and downs where they feel stuck again. And we all get stuck, we all upgrade all the time and expand, and life gets a bit challenging at times. However, when they find this independence, it's more like, I know what to do now. I know
Yeah.
how to be at peace in this. I know how to appreciate the journey now instead of feeling lost again, sitting in a closet, freaking out, crying. I mean, I
Mm.
don't know. I've definitely been there.
Mm.
And now it's like, oh, okay, here's another thing. I know what to do. And that's really what the gift that I pass on to other women is how to sustain that energy and that flow when they're upgrading from that old version to themselves, from themselves to the new version.
Oh my gosh, I think that's so important because even, I spent a lot of years in academia and then moving into the ministry and a little bit kind of counseling light. I was more of a lay counselor and coaching, but you see that all the time where people have done so much work, like
Mm,
I love what you're saying, read so many books, and yet there isn't this, it's like they haven't integrated
mm,
the facts, quote unquote, the reality, the truths that they've learned. It's yet not coming out of them in their life. It's like it hasn't gone into their system. So I
mm,
love that you're saying that because it's wonderful to learn the truth, obviously, and to have revelations of, oh my gosh, this is
mm,
how it's supposed to be. But it's a whole nother level when you're living it out in your life. And I think, there's harder blocks to that.
mm,
I don't want to say it's easy to read a book. Of course, it takes discipline, et cetera, and to get a degree, absolutely. But to become the person, to
mm,
allow yourself to remember that you're already that person and then to witness those truths now speak out into your life because you've taken them into your soul. So, oh, I love that. So let's kind of play with this a little bit. Where does this show up? I know you work a lot in relationships, but also with a lot of women in business. So how and where do you see these integrations kind of transforming women, maybe in both of those spaces, but we can focus on business perhaps?
mm. When we transition into a new space, and this would be a lot of new entrepreneurs or business owners, there's a lot of challenges that you're in charge of, right? It's like
Yeah.
where do I focus my energy? And a lot of them are visionaries. They know
Mhm.
exactly where they want
Yeah.
to go. They feel very called and very drawn to this vision that they have. What I find, there's two aspects sometimes get in our way is when we start moving fast and we start creating momentum, we all of a sudden, our energy is not caught up to our vision. Our energy is not quite caught up to the ideas. So if we have wounds that are not fully healed, or we haven't fully embodied that new identity,
Yeah.
we're all of a sudden get stuck and we're going to get lost and we're going to start hiding and we're going to start shaming ourselves and why can't I do this and question everything. Helping people fully embody that new identity, which often we need help with. I have learned this over many, many years in how to create a faster shift
Cool.
in our body so people don't get stuck for too long. So it's not just about learning more and learning techniques how to, speak to an audience or show up online or, create momentum as a business owner. It's also how do I navigate the self-talk and the self-doubt and the shaming sometimes that come in when we don't see the results that we're seeing.
Yep.
So how do we learn to enjoy the journey and seeing that as part of it instead of just this outcome at the end?
100%.
That embodiment will help you feel fulfilled and feel like you're on the right path along the journey. And it's just, I find where a lot of people get stuck.
Oh, so good. Oh my gosh. I love that you're saying that because what I've seen, and I know you have too, in so many business owners, female business owners, we'll just go there for now, although of course this happens across so many different areas of our lives, is that, and gosh, especially with high achievers, right? I tend to work with, as I know you often do too, the good girl type, the one who knew how to keep it all together, who knew how to manage other people's emotions and reactions from, probably the age of 10 who knew how to follow the rules and perform highly so that other people would be less stressed, more happy. She would therefore feel like she's safe, etc. Right? So then in the business context, as women step into entrepreneurship, it's like that same sense of the goalpost keeps moving, essentially, right? The next goal is always a little bit farther, both. And so we have this tendency to beat ourselves up on the way without looking at everything we've achieved. Is that something you think is one of the biggest pieces of women not being able to integrate this awareness of how amazing they're actually doing? Because what I find is a lot of women suffering with imposter syndrome, not because they're actually imposters or because they aren't as excellent as they present themselves to be on the internet, but because they're kind of not allowing themselves to acknowledge internally that they're excellent. And they have this continual sense of, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. And every time they arrive somewhere, they keep pushing it out, all of which, from years of defaulting to that through their growing up. So is that something that you see, is this sense of kind of continually moving the goalpost and continually feeling not enough?
Oh, absolutely. It's exhausting,
Yeah.
not just to spend time on not feeling good enough. There's this one aspect that you talked about of people pleasing, especially people in the helping field. So
Mm,
you and I um, a lot of times have a huge sense of empathy, that we're able
yeah.
to empathize. We're intuitive. We kind of know, we kind of feel, can feel people, can sense a room.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately is quite misguided in the beginning of our life, that we spend a lot of time fulfilling other people's needs because we can see it before they can at times. So learning to rein that in and kind of really checking in with ourselves first, being more selfish, if you would
Yep.
say that, really care about my barometer and my meter first before looking for others. So that's one thing that I work a lot on, and I do that through um, a process of embodiment where we really go into deep meditation and do more subconscious shifts. The other part you're talking about is the lack of celebration.
Mm,
So I was listening to Abraham Esther Hicks this morning, and they were talking about how we're in awe by babies and little kids, right? And their milestones of they're rolling over and they're sitting up, right? We're not shaming them or scolding them. I'm like, why get up, dummy, and walk, right?
yeah.
And no, we're in awe, right? Until we are less cute. And then we're not doing what we're supposed to do,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And then we get all the scolding and we're not doing it right. And if you do this, we'll get punished. And here's all the conditioning, right? So how are we able to navigate that as an adult? when we're starting to shame ourselves and we're shoulding ourselves and we get farther and farther away from who we are. Although we kind of know it, but it gets so masked by all of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. So we have to, I invite people to start discovering
Mm-hmm.
who they are again and trusting that a lot more. So, um, by celebrating, by seeing and measuring backwards instead of looking forward of all the stuff I haven't done
Yep.
yet, because that will come.
Yep.
But measuring backwards, how do I feel today? How do I feel today versus last week or last month? Recognizing the growth, understanding that just by you showing up every day and allowing yourself to be who you are.
Yep.
I was just talking about stillness yesterday in my, I did a live Awaken on a line,
Mm.
talking about how peace is power. And sometimes we feel it's counterproductive, just being still because we're not doing anything.
Mm.
But the being, are you listening to the ideas and your unique flow that is so different than other people? Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what is better than not. You will know. The more we spend time and attend to that tender, soft voice, the more we are able to recognize our being and our
Yeah.
doing,
Mm. That's
and
so
life
good.
flows. Yeah.
What's so cool too is that I think so many people underestimate how attractive that is, and I completely agree with you that these practices sometimes and going on this entire journey, right, of really integrating and healing can feel like, well, that's not productive. You know what I mean? I need to record 5 new videos and I need to write my email sequence and I need to reach out to potential collaboration. I got to do all these things, right? I don't have time to sit here and meditate, right? And yet there's an energy, I think. There's an energy to, obviously, some people might not believe it yet, but they'll get on board. There's an energy to all of our behaviors and the person that we are when we're living in certain zones or certain lanes, essentially, right? So nothing wrong, of course, with taking, if they're aligned, actions like reaching out and getting recordings done and moving through tasks. But when that is the only way we're operating in business because it feels like a waste of time to do the more journaling, energy, breath, all of the different pieces that shift our inner state and allow us to integrate these beliefs about ourselves more healthily and fully, that actually makes us so attractive, And I think especially, to clients, I should say, to men, maybe too, sure, why not? But to people, when we are looking to work with a coach or whatever, type of business owner, service provider, of course, we're going to be looking at do they actually know what they're talking about, But there's always, I find, an element of do I connect with this person's energy, which I think is a more, high level way of saying, at least this is how I say it to myself, do I want to be her? You know what I mean? Like if I turn into that type of energy, where that's how she interacts with her man, that's how she interacts with her kids, that's how she interacts with herself, that's how she interacts with her body, that's how she interacts with God, do I want that? And if I don't, I often find that even if she's got all the best tactics, I am not interested in entering into her vortex because I don't like the energy. And yet, when there's a woman who perhaps by business standards doesn't have the same metrics, hasn't, gone as far, worked, whatever. She's not, you know, as far along by some kind of on paper definition, but her energy is healthy and magnificent. She likes her life. She likes herself. Those around her, are open and loving with her because they know she's a safe space because she's safe in herself. And yet she's set these boundaries that allow her to build this too. Like, oh, I want to learn from that. I can figure out the metrics, but the energy mastery is huge. So do you find that when, women unlock this part of integrating that they actually almost have what one of my favorite coaches, Tara Moreno, calls happy financial surprises. You know what I mean? And just things that suddenly align when you weren't technically doing a business activity, but you unlocked something in yourself and in the energy, and now it is flowing better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember having a client who was in a very messy space in her relationship and really with herself. And through the stillness and through the understanding of how she had the power to choose and she had the power to speak her truth, especially with herself, really being honest with herself and what she wanted in life, things just shifted. Within
Yeah.
3 months, she was on to a different trajectory. And the coolest thing is that end of that year, she got an all of a sudden a raise at work. Her marriage had significantly improved. Not They were headed in divorce
Mm.
direction, and they're just doing so much better. She's speaking on stage. She has this confidence now that she's ahead in the companies, using her voice to speak to everybody. And it was just so surprising for her because that's not necessarily what we were working on, right? But the biggest investment here is in our personal growth.
Yeah.
Like spending our energy and time and money on ourselves is a gift to the people that we are showing up for, the people that we're serving. It is just, I mean, think about it. What does it require to have a good business? Well, you have to be a leader that people want to be around. Just like
Mm.
you're saying, you want to be a good human being. You want to be kind. You want to have emotional intelligence. You want to know
Yeah.
your boundaries. You don't want to give too much or people please, right? Because you're going to exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
How do you want to have healthy boundaries? You got to know yourself, right? You got to do you first. You can't spend time on fixing other people's emotions. That's not how it works. So any investment
Mm.
or waste of time, sometimes sitting and meditating for a month because you have no clients coming in, well, it's worthwhile,
Yeah.
especially if you're using it in not beating yourself up, but actually just appreciating the moment and appreciating the expansion.
Yeah.
I had a client yesterday that I met with, and I mean, she was so stuck
Mm.
in she had so much trauma in her
Mm.
past. It really kept her small. She really believed that she could never get out of this.
Mm.
And after we stopped working together, well, during our work together as well, it unlocked. But her life has just unfolded since. She moved to another country, she got married, she's
Wow.
starting her online business. So I met with her again yesterday as a follow-up. And she's like, my life going well, and I appreciate everything, but I kind of feel stuck here. So, of course, there's a part in her and a little version of ourselves, that little girl in us that really
Mm.
needed attention. And a lot of times we look outside and it's like, ah, oh, I need community, I need people around me. But we did this exercise and really went within, and she comforted and embraced and integrated that part of herself. And she came out of that exercise almost in tears. And she's like, thank you. Recognizing that she is on the right path, that she is living the life she's always wanted. And for her to really integrate that fear part of herself
Mm.
just made everything relaxed again and realizing I'm doing it, like this is it. This is what I want.
So good. Oh my gosh. So, what is interesting to me is why women don't allow themselves to step into this, right? And my hypothesis, you would know better, and I'd love to hear what you think, is that when we're surrounded by a culture, whether it's in business or whether it's just, commercials of, you need to clean your house using this Swiffer, or you need to use this body wash or make your wrinkles go away, whatever it is. There's this, in the sales world, I should say, a tactic of continually making us feel that we're not enough, that we've got to go farther. And my assumption is that that triggers what is established in childhood, like you were talking about, around these conditions of, yo, yeah, you rolled over when you were however many months, but now you're 7, 9, 12, 15. you need to do better. We're expecting more of you. This is not sufficient, which for a little kid reads as you are not sufficient. And so I'm assuming that it becomes kind of this internal trigger that's very easily switched on of you got to go farther. You got to hit more. You got to be better. Whatever you're doing right now is 100% not enough. So I'm wondering if one of the reasons that women are reluctant to step into this healing work is because there are so many messages out there of this is a waste of time, but you just need to push a little harder and get here. And that messaging is cueing that trigger. Do you think that's what's happening, or why do you think people resist doing this work, which is, in my opinion, arguably the most important work you can do in your lifetime?
Yeah, I am not sure that we resist. I think we just don't know how to get there. It's
Interesting.
it's it's not your fault. Like
Yeah.
that's the message. Like it's not your fault. You're right about the society's imprints of us. This template that we've been given us. If you only do this and you make these steps and you tell yourself these things, everything is going to go away. But you already know better. See, that's the thing. This conversation and people listening to this, they already know. They're already listening to that voice of knowing that there's more and there is a way. And the way is flexing a different muscle than we have been used to.
Yeah.
And it's I wish I could just make it really black and white, because we've been fed so much stuff from when we were growing up that it really is like learning to walk
Mm.
or riding a bike. Because every time we're out and we are met by expectations or watching people in flow and, oh, they're so successful and they can do this and why can't I? You're already introducing that resistance and that lack, and you're just replaying it over and over again. So how do you kind of crack that programming?
Yeah.
It is by embodying it. It is by actually welcoming it. We want to push it away and we want to say, no, not that. We're going to only focus on this. But that will always be a part of you until you fully welcome it and you listen to it and you take it as information and then allow it to be woven in to your
Yeah.
new identity in a soft, caring, loving way.
That's beautiful.
When we start flowing in life like that, we are less likely to resist anything, but more welcome it and say, okay, there is there's some growth here.
Yeah.
There's some expansion here. How can I be more curious
Mm.
in this? And then with some tools and techniques and some embodiment work, it's like a switch that turns on. And
Mm.
you can see the shift in different areas of your life where you just show up differently.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Do you find that some of these women have voices around them that discourage this work, or that can be a roadblock, that there are perhaps people in their life, whether it's a spouse or a partner, a business partner, a sibling, parent still perhaps, where they're like, no, 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 this is a waste of time. This is a waste of your resources looking into figuring out how to do this. You need to just go harder, get up earlier, send more emails, blah, 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 blah. And it takes, someone of tremendous internal spiritual fortitude to hear that, to be maybe around that, and to say, essentially, like what I call a sacred no of like, no, I know that this is my next step or a step, or really something that I want to not just have as a step, but that I want to bring into my normal process and make a part of how I live. So I guess my question to you would be, what do you suggest to women who might have still, people in their lives who discount this type of work, how to develop or tap into really that sacred self-honoring that you're talking about almost before they begin the work, if that makes sense, in order to launch the journey. Does that
Yeah, absolutely.
make sense?
People will protest when we start
Yeah.
changing.
Mm.
Um, some people get inspired and join along.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably know those, friends that stick with you along the way that kind of grow in the same rate as you. And there's the friends and coworkers or business partners that just kind of fade away.
Yeah.
Same with relationships. Some lead to divorce eventually because you are just not on the same life path. This is what I went through personally. At the same time, there's no saying that you can't stay and grow in it together. We hold ourselves back, us women, I say we,
Yep.
often because we want to people please, and because sometimes we have an idea of, if I step into this and if I choose this, I'm going to lose
Yeah.
someone. There's this sense of loss and
Mm.
grief that we almost have to go through to let go of that old version of ourselves.
Mm.
And the coolest thing, like in most cases, it just gets better.
Yeah.
It just gets better.
Agreed.
And when people are protesting, I love this because I actually recently had a shift on this as well. It is such a gift because we get to practice.
Mm.
We get to practice over and over again. And the more resistance we get, the more I would kind of invite you to look even more closely at your own talk about this and how you're choosing to show up, because it may not be fully aligned and you may have some integration work that need to do, that you know everything that you want to be, but you're not fully embodying yet. Therefore, we're getting all this protest.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
people are gifts in our
Yeah.
lives. Challenging relationships are gifts. Our business struggling and not getting money and not getting client is it's such a gift, because how are you choosing to stay in the energy of knowing where you're going
Mm.
while it hasn't quite manifested yet?
Done. It builds this muscle. You know what I mean? I mean, I really think of it as like this is the part where you become a badass, a spiritual badass, because how on earth, and whatever different faith backgrounds people may have, there's always characters in the stories and in the history that we're told in very different faith and belief traditions of the person who walked the path, even when there was no indication that it was going to go well, and in fact, many indications that it might not. And yet it's this decision of nevertheless, I'm going to cling to this vision that I know is possible, that I know perhaps is true if you have that conviction, or could be true. And I shall not give up on that until I see it brought to life, and I'm going to walk this path. And it can feel like, God, just, a matter of persistence and endurance and tenacity. But really, it's like a workout.
Mm,
It's the most effective way that I've come to understand it. If you start going to the gym and you don't yet have muscle, mass, strength, etc., in the beginning, it does feel like, why am I even here? 2 weeks in and I still don't really see any difference. But if you can imagine walking that for years, perhaps, at the end, oh my gosh, total transformation. So to have, I think, this faith in I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to believe in the result that I want anyway. I'm going to believe in the partnership. I'm going to believe in the income level. I'm going to believe in the level of visibility, the level of impact, until, not like for a predetermined amount of time, and then if it doesn't happen in the end, I'll give up. It's like I am not giving up on the vision. Everything I've been thinking, in the last couple months that I have allowed myself to step into over the last couple years is primarily based in this hold the vision, like an absolute tenacity of no matter who's saying what, no matter what seems more likely, I am going to hold this vision and hell or high water as long as it takes. I'm going to get there and I'm going to create it. And then it comes to pass. But it's not like poof, and then it comes to pass. There's this muscle building years, these spiritual muscle building years. But what's so cool is I know Trina, is that then when you start to approach the fruition of the vision that you've been holding so firmly, so strongly, is that you're now the person who can handle it, right? Because to be able to allow, even for example, incredible romantic love or a higher level of income and the number of clients who can come in with that, a higher level of visibility, it does take a person who is able to hold their vision or able to hold their mental frame and not get pulled into now what people's opinions or, feedback or whatever. Like, no, I'm right here. And you're right here because you built being right here in those years, perhaps. I hope it doesn't take that long. And I think with someone, like you, a shortcut, it doesn't have to. But for me, it definitely took years where it's like, I am going to do this. And I didn't realize I was building the ability to be the person who could then hold essentially higher vibrations of success in all areas and not be taken out or distracted or get into insecurity because I built the muscle over the years of holding the vision before it came to pass. So
Yeah.
cool. So speaking of that, how do how would you say, like, is there a shortcut, quote unquote? Let's put it that way. Because for me, I definitely learned the hard way. But if someone comes to you and is like, I know I want to do this, I want to learn how to integrate my true identity so I can start to experience higher success in all levels in my business, in all the areas of my life. Is there, I'm sure there is because you're so well studied in this, but is there kind of a bit of a shortcut or a faster track that you're able to guide people through who might otherwise try a whole bunch of things that aren't actually what creates the difference?
Yeah, if you're looking for, putting the pieces together, I am like the best puzzle expert. A lot of clients come to me with all the knowledge and all the awareness, and but how to put it together can be difficult because we're not given that roadmap when we were born. I wish we did, but we don't.
Yeah.
So putting it all together is really kind of my expertise, and then integrating and embodying it. So I invite people to come in and work with me one-on-one for
Mhm.
12 weeks.
Beautiful.
And I give them access to my community.
Okay.
So one of the things I noticed that you were talking about is a lot of us can feel really alone when we're upgrading, right? Because not
Mhm.
everybody may be on board, they're questioning, they're not understanding it, and then it induces self-doubt in ourselves, and here the roller coaster starts again. If we can find a space that we're called to with people that we want to be like, right?
Yeah.
That really inspire us and draw us closer to who we are. We just feel yummy around their energy. If we can include ourselves in a community like that, which is what I provide for my clients, they're much more able to sustain that
Mm.
growth and feel excited about it. So meeting one-on-one, doing the internal body embodiment,
Mm.
putting the puzzle pieces together so you have the confidence and the clarity that when you're out of the program, you know, like I'm
Mhm.
in charge. Doesn't mean life is going to go smooth, right? Because yes, we're going to continue to expand and it's going to be a gift. And I'm going to have sustainable community to remind me of who I am and what is home and how I can honor myself.
Yeah.
And people cheering you on sometimes when you don't see the growth yourself, they're like, "Oh yeah, did you see how you changed that?" And it's just magical being around people that are uplifting and positive and want the
Mm.
best for you. And I think that is such a huge important piece of this grieving the loss of an old version,
Mm.
integrating, embodying, feeling alone, going up the elevator to the next level. It's just lonely and claustrophobic. And sometimes we just want to shrink ourselves to go back into the familiar party where we still don't feel like we belong, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so well said. What I adore about that is that that is exactly what I found, right? And none of us need to kind of go into all the details of our paths, I don't think, but there's always people who don't have the vision that you have. And I think it can feel very lonely when you're like, maybe I am delusional. You know what I mean? Like maybe this isn't possible. Maybe, and to have those thoughts, the only way I have found, certainly the fastest way to counter them is to be in a room of people who share the vision or who are willing at least to hold and witness you and your vision with you, right? To hold a higher, not a higher standard per se, because they're not trying to push you, but they're allowing you to hold a higher vision truly of you. And what's so cool in this day and age is that we have access to the internet. I mean, there's of course people who are always trying to find ways that the internet can be such a problem, but to me, it is the biggest blessing. Because wherever you are, if you have access to the internet, of course, we're so lucky that we do, you can tap into and find, first of all, and tap into a group of people who share this. And I just remember the times that I have stepped into rooms, whether it was for personal development or business development. And a lot of times, most of the time, they were virtual rooms, because we all have lives and we're in different places and we travel, we have families, etc. But when I learned that I had a place I could go where people would fully see my soul and be willing to hold me and not judge me and not compete with me and not shame me or should me or anything me except just love and witness and hold this vision with me. And I would do the same for them. And what was so beautiful, Trina, and I don't know how this happens, but I certainly found it to be the case, is that even when I wasn't actively on the Zoom call or wherever we were meeting, I just knowing that those people existed in the world. We all get off, we all say goodbye, whatever, you log off of the social media, wherever it is, and you go about your day, and then you're encountering all the other voices that perhaps you're used to, all the other messages, all the other norms that could pull you back, and yet I've got this like spiritual posse. I've got this divine like girl tribe that exist. And even in my moments of doubt, I can just remember that they're there and that I'm not alone in this and that I'm not making things up, that this is all 100% possible and that there are people who see it with me, who hold me in it. And it's so comforting. It's such a sense of like, I have a home. I found a home. And no matter what I'm buffeted through, perhaps I know that this is real because other people share this vision and this truth with me. And I just am 100% convinced that that's one of the reasons it comes to pass so much more quickly, so much more easily than trying to kind of like cut through the spiritual jungle with your own machete and hoping that you survive. So I love
Right.
that. And I
Yeah.
can't imagine what a huge difference that is.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
wired for connection.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that you can't unlearn what you've learned. See, that's the thing. So I almost got a visual when you were talking about this, that we're in this box, a glass box, right? And there's a
Mm.
glass ceiling above us, and we're kind of like outgrowing it, right? It's getting close to our head, and we're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And we step into this room where all of a sudden the glass ceiling is much higher,
Yes.
right? And they're dancing and they're having a party and they're celebrating what you were shaming yourself for in that little box with that low ceiling, right? And you go out there and like, that can't be. That's not possible that people can have similar lives to me and they're dancing and they're having fun and they're embracing expansion. And where's the ceiling? And it's free and I can see the stars.
Mhm.
And at first, you might feel out of place and feel, oh, I don't deserve this. And, I could crawl back in there. But when you kind of look back, you're like, yeah, it was not that
Yeah.
comfortable, right? So maybe I'll start partying and loosen up and I stand in the corner or I absorb or I observe a little bit first. And this is what the journey of integration is and getting into these rooms is with the integration, that transition happens much faster because you've already prepared the identity when you're still kind of in that cubicle or that cube. And when you get out there, you're like, oh, this is what it's all about. Now I see it. I
Yeah.
felt it before, but now I see it and now I get it. And you allow yourself to be much more free without those limiting beliefs.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh. What a great visual. Like, welcome to the dance party. You know what I mean? Welcome to
Yes.
the spiritual dance floor. This is like, it gets to be fun and it doesn't have to be perfect for it to be fun. I just deeply believe like, let it be fun now. And you'd be shocked by how quickly it seems to become perfect, even if it's still not perfect. The energy of like delight in your life and in yourself is so potently magical to allow, in my opinion, God, but to whatever beliefs people have, to step in and be like, perfect. Now you're receptive. I get chills even saying it, like, here it comes. And it's just, how can we allow ourselves into that energy of receptivity? And I think this integration work is the way. So tell us a little bit more about this program that you mentioned, this 12 weeks, and how you walk women through this integration process. What do you?
Yes.
What are you doing over there, Trina? Tell us
Yeah,
all the
absolutely. So
things.
I have I walk them through my integration code. So it's a
Oh,
framework
cool.
that I have built around my experience with all the women that have done this integration. And I find it really profound because when you know the integration code, you can now take that and use it in any situation in future because it just gives those puzzle pieces and putting it together and realizing that I have the power and I have the clarity and I know how to step into my alignment
Beautiful.
after they have finished this program. And again, with the community part of it, you feel supported, you feel seen,
Mm,
accepted as who you are. It's probably one of my biggest um, mm, needs that I have in showing up for people is just for them to understand how loved they are and
mm,
how I see them for who they are before they sometimes see it themselves.
yep,
I just love holding that space, the authenticity, just them being who they are and allowing themselves to lead them to wherever it's at. And there's no right or wrong. It just is. And let me try to have fun while we're doing it. Make sure that if there's joy, then follow it. If
yep,
there's joy here and fulfillment here, then follow it.
yes.
So the integration takes place, meeting with me one-on-one and in the community part is really the key. So it's customized, which is really fortunate right now because I probably will create more of a group structure in the future. Right now, it's a really personalized path of where you're at, where you're feeling stuck in business or showing up. A lot of people feel that they're hiding. How do I allow my voice to be shown without feeling the judgment of others?
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
love this. I love group containers, and yet one-on-one is just one of the greatest transformational models of transformation period, in my opinion, and I love that you're starting with this complete acceptance. I deeply believe that all change and transformation begins with unconditional love. And I love that you're underscoring that so much because so many times, especially with these messages we've been talking about, it begins with not enough. You're not enough. Now you must change. And instead, it's like, you're already enough. What more could we allow? And that energy is just like, oh, it's like balm, it's like life force. It's amazing. So I love that. I love that these are personalized times. I love that you have a code, because I know from so many years in this space that a lot of times you just kind of feel, especially if you're trying to do it alone, that you're kind of just wading into this somewhat cool, mystical feeling, murky swamp thing. You know what I mean? And it's foggy and you can't quite tell, should I go over here into meditation or should I go over here into like, I don't know, should I start fasting or something? I don't know. But you have a pathway through some work that can feel vague, quite frankly. A lot of personal development work can feel very vague. And so instead to have, no, I've got you. There's a container. I'm going to see you. There's a privacy and intimacy. There's so much safety, I think, that people feel when they can share one-on-one. And the group container's healing as well. But there's another dimension when you have your coach to yourself and it's like bliss. And then to have a actual code that you walk them through a certain path, that's magnificent. Wow.
Yeah.
So good.
Absolutely. If you're one that is stepping out there and being bold and showing more of yourself, you might
Yes.
be working with a coach or you might be developing your business and you are finding those bumps, you're finding yourself stuck and not knowing how to proceed. And I've talked to other business coaches about this stuff because they do mindset pieces. However, it's often not deep enough. It's
Yes.
often not where it becomes wisdom, where I can use this as a strength to move forward. It's not just, oh, I just have to shift this and refocus this. No, this is not what it's about. So for you to truly integrate this new version of yourself will allow you now to do that work, to put yourself out there. And I find that's kind of that gap that is missing in some of these mindsets, or even in business coaching, that you will eventually brush up on
Yep.
past stuff, conditional stuff from our past, from our childhood that has not been integrated yet. And what do we do with that? And
Yep.
that's what I'm an expert in.
Oh my gosh, Trina, thank you so much. The last point I want to make, and then I want to hear if there's anything last that you want to add, is that I watch so many people do exactly what you're talking about, which is kind of, I call it like the heaping on of mindset, where it's like, well, say these affirmations, and then, I don't know, listen to this audio or whatever. And what I find is that women, especially if we just focus on women entrepreneurs, women in business, for this example, they rise higher, but they can't receive the more. And I also see women who hit a receiving block because they haven't done this integration work and they find they can't receive more, right? Now, I hate to say that because I believe they're, of course, capable of it, but I should say it's difficult to, right? Because it's like they're trying to just, there's sheer force, willpower, and somebody's formulaic routine get themselves to a higher level of whatever income, performance, visibility, et cetera. And especially with visibility, I find this is huge is it's so stinking scary to get out there on this internet that we've been talking about that is so safe and yet can feel so terrifying, being yourself and allowing yourself to be fully authentic and also rise to your greatest power and success and income and impact and all of the things if you haven't done this work. And I'm just thinking of all the business owners who are seven figures, multi seven figures, eight figures, and beyond, who, when you get behind the scenes, have so many issues still with competition, with jealousy, with insecurity. And I know it's because they never bothered to stop and do this work. And then I know the women who have those same numbers, who have this blissful personal life, who are at ease in their body. There's just health radiating in all areas. And it always comes down, if you have a conversation with them, to they did exactly what you're talking about. So I just want to thank you for I get chills even saying it. I just feel it's such a gift that you're in this particular space because there's the business coaches, the go harder coaches, and then there's like, let's just talk about your feelings, but not really get anywhere coaches. And you're in this magical bridge of women who are destined for big impact, who have old cycles stopping them, and all the, marketing strategies and mindset affirmation things haven't broken through. And it's this integration code, which is the unlock. So, Trina, thank you. Thank you for the gift that you are, for the gift of your work. Is there anything else you want to add as we send these ladies off after this convo?
Just listen, listen
Yeah.
within. Notice where you are inspired. Notice
Mm,
what voices that you are inspired by. The biggest gift, and this came up in a session yesterday with my client. I actually got this vision before my session. Sometimes higher powers prepare me for my sessions, and I could feel this grandmother energy coming in with her and kind of giving her wings. It's just beautiful. I have various interesting things come in during and before sessions. And I presented that as the first thing, and I hadn't seen her in a while. And I just want to give that gift because I knew she understood what it meant. And so we did a visualization with her because I wanted to for her to understand that this was not about this grandmother energy or this master energy that is this sublime or the supreme all-knowing, that the fact that that energy is with her and that she recognizes this is a true mirror
mm,
of who she's become, who she already is, and how she acknowledges that person today. And we
gorgeous.
were both in tears because it gets very emotional for me too, because it's such an honor to be, ooh,
Yeah.
it's such an honor to be a witness
Yeah.
of people shedding those layers and just allowing themselves to show up as who they are
Yeah.
and not pay attention to the judgments and not let other people make their decisions.
Yeah.
Just that space of receiving
Yeah.
that I am that. That's me.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's
oh.
incredible to give that gift to women. So, oh my gosh, I have all of the chills. This was such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your own bravery, allowing yourself to step into this as your own journey so that you can be the gift to so many. So,
Thank you, Jackie.
oh, with deep pleasure, guys, everybody go check out Trina. Where can they find you? What's the web address or where should they go?
Yes, they find me youinsideyou.com. Mm-hmm.
Youinsideyou.com. That is
Yes.
awesome. I love. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for this. Everybody go check that out. It's a stunning program and your work is just magnificent. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being this
Thank you,
hour
Jackie.
with us and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye everybody.